Horror Coast to Coast is a movie review podcast featuring strong language, horror film spoilers, and discussions of violence, gore, and disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Horror Coast to Coast, where we discuss horror movies from opposite sides of the continental U.S. From the home of the Salem Witch Trials, I'm Brian.
And from your rearview mirror, I'm Michelle.
This week, we're talking about Weapons 2025, written and directed by Zach Cregger.
Okay, so I'm excited about this. This is our first in-theater film that we are reviewing, meaning not everyone has seen this. This is not a movie that is well known. I don't know. I'm tickled. I'm actually quite excited that we have chosen to do a movie that is current and in theaters, which means I think this is a good time to give like a 5 asterisk spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Because there's gonna be mad spoilers if you haven't seen this in theaters yet. So the synopsis for this is: when all but one child from the same classroom mysteriously vanish on the same night at exactly the same time, a community is left questioning who or what is behind their disappearance. Okay, so I went in completely blind. The only thing I knew about this movie was the poster, which means nothing. It's like there's a couple of different posters, of theatrical posters. One is just a few kids kind of like with their hands back running in the distance, I guess is what it looks
Yep.
like. And then there's another one that's got like an Andy Warhol type feel where it's the 4 boxes and it's like a can of soup. There's a few items in the things, and they're all relevant once you've seen the movie. But when you're looking at the theatrical poster and you haven't seen the movie, it's kind of like, what the heck is this movie about? And then when you go and you watch it and you come back and look at the poster and you're like, oh my God. It's like a hit in the gut. I don't know about you, but I held my breath for like the first hour of this movie. And then at the end, I was like, my heart is still racing. Holy shit. But I'm getting ahead. Let's start from the beginning.
All right. Starting at the beginning, we get an opening narration where they tell us that everyone in Justine Gandry's 3rd grade class vanished one night at exactly 2:17 a.m., except for a kid named Alex Lilly.
And also, let me add that the narration that you were just talking about is a creepy little kid.
Oh, yes, of course.
Just to add to that ambiance, the movie opens with this explanation, but it's given to you by a little kid. And it's almost given to you in kind of a retrospect, from a retrospective point, because the kid is like, one day this happened. They're clearly telling you this story. And so you know that this isn't something that's going to be like ongoing in your mind. It sets it up to be, this kid is telling me like a bedtime story. And so there's going to be a beginning and a middle and an end. And so it's a very nice, I think it's a very effective way to tell a story when you set up a mystery, because it gives you a little bit of hope that this mystery is going to come to resolution at some point. So I was really excited about that setup.
And this movie is divided into chapters with the titles of a character being each chapter. So our first one is Justine.
It's interesting that it starts with her, because at least the way I took it, it's clear that she really has no idea. She's just as clueless as everyone else. Now, of course, I waited and waited to see if that wouldn't be true. But in this part of the narrative, the message is that she really has no fucking idea what's going on.
Yep. And at a press conference, we see that very angry parents are blaming Justine for the disappearance of their children. The angriest of which is Archer Graff, played by Josh Brolin.
Josh Brolin, yeah.
At home, Justine hears a pounding at her door. She goes out and sees the word witch written on her car.
Right. And the thing is, at this point, because we're all still wondering what in the world happened to these kids, the movie could go in either direction. And it sort of plays with, is it a ghost? Is it a monster? Like, you have no idea. And so the scene with her in her house with the door, someone banging on the door, is very creepy because you really have no idea who could it be. And then even when you open the door and she opens the door and you see, oh, someone's vandalized her car, so probably it was Ding Dong Ditch. But then you're like, well, I don't know, maybe that was a coincidence. But yeah, and her character is also set up in this chapter. She's got a checkered past. I My understanding is that she's an alcoholic. I don't know if she was in some kind of program.
Yeah, so her ex-boyfriend, who is one of the major characters in this, does suggest that she's had a problem with drinking, at least in his opinion.
Right.
She might not have been like a recovering alcoholic, but her ex-boyfriend seems to think that she has an issue with it.
Right.
And we're introduced to him. His name is Paul Morgan, and he's a cop played by Alden Ehrenreich of Solo fame.
Okay.
Did you see Solo?
No. Oh, wait, Solo. Yes, I have seen Solo. I didn't realize he was in Solo. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he played Han Solo.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. Mustaches are magic.
Apparently. Wow. I'm going to have to go back and look at that again. I did not realize that he's the main character in that movie. Funny. Yeah, so Paul comes in and immediately he puts himself in this, I'm her friend and I'm responsible and she's irresponsible, which is so interesting because right away you want to be on her side, but then this little page turns and you think, oh, well, maybe she is a little sus because
He's making a lot of compelling points.
yeah, he's making a lot of compelling points. He comes in and he's like, hey, I'm on your side. He's got knowledge of her past, and so you're inclined to give him some credibility, which is really, really well done at this point. I'll just say right now, I'm so impressed with this movie, so a lot of this review is gonna be me gushing.
Yeah, they had a good dynamic because you could totally see where he's coming from, but also she's the protagonist. So by default, like you give her the benefit of the doubt, but you see that they're both right and they're both wrong.
Right. And on top of which, at the same time, you're kind of like, are you telling this woman that she can't have a drink when the entire town is out to, like, get her head? Like, that hearing with the parents was so tense. Not even with Josh Brolin standing up and yelling and pointing her out. The hearing was just tense because she's there and the parents are all yelling. She has no information for them. And after that, she heads to the liquor store. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, girl, get it.
Yeah.
So then when she's at the bar and he's lecturing her, on one hand, you're kind of like, what the hell? Leave her alone. But on the other hand, when he says, you do have a problem with this, and then you're kind of like, oh, maybe this is a case of her turning to alcohol every little challenge that comes against her, that she comes up against. Who knows?
And of course, at the bar, he orders a Coke. So we also have a little additional information of where he's coming from. Like, hey, you and me both.
Right.
Like, they have a history both with each other and with alcohol.
Okay, so after she meets up with Paul, they have their night, and then she is like, I'm going back to the liquor store. Right?
Yep. At this point, we are introduced to Marcus Wong, the principal,
Right.
who basically tells her, don't come into school until things have calmed down.
And the principal also gives us insight into more of her personality, who sort of puts a little bit of chinks in her credibility with the viewer, because he then reveals that she's had some misconduct complaints in a previous school, or that she's been accused of inappropriately,
Yeah,
hugging kids and
she
things
was
like that.
accused of giving a kid a ride home,
Okay.
which is that like really that unheard of? I'm pretty sure I got a ride home from like a nurse one time I missed the bus in elementary school. That doesn't seem like it's a big deal.
I would say that if the parent had a problem, or she seems like she's the kind of teacher that if she had been told, don't do this, this is an issue, she would do it anyway. And
Mm-hmm.
so my thought on that is it may not have been a problem, but I would bet this is a kid who either the parent was like, "Stop talking to my kid," or "Stop paying so much attention to my kid," or, "I'm not okay with this," and she did it anyway. That's my feel about her as a character, simply from the interactions that she's having in this particular conversation with the principal, where he's like, "Hey, you can't do this."
Yeah, but even, like, the way he put it, he sounded, like, kinda judgmental, but then the things he was bringing up were, like, really, if you, like, know her and have a good relationship with her, you would obviously give her the benefit of the doubt and be like, "Yeah, obviously you were treated unfairly. Hugging a distressed student is not that big of a deal when you're a 3rd grade teacher. Giving a kid who missed the bus a ride home, not that big of a deal." But, you know.
I think my impression from her reactions, from the eye rolling, from this and that, is that she knew they were rules, but broke them anyway. And so I think it's not about whether or not it was a big
Okay, yeah.
deal. I think it's more, you knew you weren't supposed to do this. You knew that these are hard lines we set in terms of parent teacher student relationships, and you keep on crossing these lines. Whether or not it's a big deal, I think, is not really the issue. And I think her response to eye rolling is really indicative of her attitude, right? Which is
Yes.
like, if it's not a big deal, I can't believe they dinged me for that. Fine. I agree, not a big deal. But the fact that these are rules and you broke them and you're a teacher and we expect you to follow rules, I think is more the point.
Yeah, which leads directly into what she does next, her actual
Oh my
egregious
God.
violation of the rules, stalking Alex home, following him
Oh
home,
my
being a
God.
total creep, and then ringing on their doorbell when she's explicitly told not to have any contact with them, and then goes around and she creeps in. She sees that the windows are all like covered in like newspaper or whatever. But she peeks in and she sees two people just staring creepily at her, not moving at all on the couch, and it scares the ever living shit out of her and also the audience.
Right. Then she proceeds to call the principal and say, oh my God,
Yeah,
guess what I found?"
why is she confiding in the absolute last person she should ever tell about this? The person who just explicitly told
Because
her not to do this.
I think because she has boundary issues. I think that's really her character. Like, she's a person with boundary issues. And I think that that's really demonstrated in scene after scene. She's got the boundary issues with the alcohol. He sets a boundary, she crosses it. He sets a boundary with that we shouldn't do this, and she crosses it. Same thing with the kids in her past. Like, hey, here's the boundary. We don't have physical contact with kids. Oh, he's upset. She crosses the boundary. Same thing. Don't talk to him. Crosses the boundary. Like, she's a boundary crosser, right? Which is, you can forgive her for some of it, but then she just keeps going.
Yeah, and I get the feeling very much in her chapter that her only two friends or connections are her ex-boyfriend and her boss.
Yes.
Because why else would you call your boss who just explicitly told you not to do this and confide in him? Obviously, she doesn't have any girlfriends or like a mom or a dad or a sister that she could confide in. She's gonna go to the last person she should.
Right. I mean, she sort of says that at the beginning, right? When the principal says, "Do you have somewhere you can go tonight?" When the parents are kind of crowding her, and he says, "Do you have somewhere you can go tonight?" And she says, "No." So I think she's alone, right?
That could be why she feels such a need to overstep the boundaries and befriend the children,
Yeah.
because she really doesn't have anyone else.
Hmm.
That concludes her chapter, and we move on to the chapter Archer. His chapter revolves around trying to solve his son Matthew's disappearance, and we see that he's been sleeping in his son's bed, and he's having some strange prophetic dreams, leading him around the town and seeing a giant AR-15 in the sky.
Which, so crazy.
Yeah,
So this was an interesting chapter because he's the guy who he comes across immediately with violence. right? He's angry, he's accusing, he's the one you feel the most threatened by at that hearing. And so the next chapter is about him, and you're already kind of tense about, okay, are you gonna have me try to sympathize with this guy? Because I'm on edge because of him. But yeah, no, opening with him sleeping in his son's bed is the perfect way to diffuse all of that violence, all of that energy, because you see, crap, he really is a grieving dad, and his marriage seems like it's kind of on the rocks because he can't get past this, because he can't, he's bugging the police chief about any leads they might have had. He's doing his own research, but you know what? In his defense, he is pretty damn smart about how he goes about this. And it was kind of weird to me that so one thing that I think was obvious to us, but not obvious to the people in the story until he brings it up, is that some of the parents caught the kids as they were leaving on their like ring cameras. And he's one of the
Yep.
parents who caught footage of his son. And he's the first one to think, hey, I should compare my footage to the footage that other parents have gotten and see if we can figure out where they went. And maybe that was from his dream. I can't remember. I can't decide if he came up with the idea because he had that dream.
I feel like it was definitely influenced by that because what was guiding him in the dream?
I want to say a
He
tower
was
of
was he
some
just chasing
kind.
his son?
Oh, maybe he was chasing his son. Yeah.
I think it's at least started out that way. So yeah, he was chasing after his son, and then he got the idea to chase
Right.
after where his son went by
Right.
using the ring camera footage. So yeah,
Right.
it was inspired
And
by
then he
his dream.
realized that he only has one point of information. And so he starts looking around.
Yep. So he goes to the neighbors. Initially, the wife is like, "No, I don't feel comfortable letting you see the ring cam
And the
footage."
dirtbag husband,
He manages to convince dirtbag Justin Long to do it.
Justin Long. That was so funny to me.
I saw people saying online Justin Long finally survived a horror movie, but apparently they just haven't seen Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I was seeing that. I wasn't expecting that he was also only in the movie for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna be there more. I was like, "Ooh, something's going on with Justin Long. I don't know if he's gonna." But yeah, first more horror movie he survived because he was also in is he the main like victim in Tusk?
Yep.
Okay.
Archer confronts Justine at a gas station, and a bloody-faced Marcus running in the same posture as the kids walked off just lunges straight at Justine and tackles her and is like looking like a zombie trying to bite her when Archer decks him. She runs into the convenience store while Archer's fighting him off, and then it cuts to the end. We don't see the resolution before cutting to the next chapter, Paul.
Okay, yeah. And when she's talking to Archer at the gas station pump, it's a great scene because she's fed up and she's going to get more alcohol and getting gas. And he comes to her and she's just like, "What the fuck do you want? Everyone is after me." And he's like, "That's not true." And she's like, are you kidding me? Have you seen my car?" Which then we find out he's the one who painted her car. But you can't tell how he's going to respond to her. You think it's going to be like volatile. But then when he kind of actually sees her one on one, he softens for a second. And you're like, okay, maybe he's sort of understanding. And then that creepy shit, I fell down dead in the fucking theater when Marcus comes running across the street. And you see, and it's like, not only is he running in the creepy way the kids are running, his eyes are like
Oh yeah, his eyes
bugged
are
out and
bulging out like
bloody.
crazy.
Oh my God, it was so creepy. But yeah, something's up with him. We don't know exactly what's wrong at this point, and he's fixated on just beating the shit out of her. And Josh Brolin comes in and he's inadvertently her savior at that moment.
So unfortunately, I had this scene spoiled for me. This clip was the only thing of the movie I'd
No.
seen, and what a like awful thing to have seen because it really spoils so much. So I knew
It's
the
the
second
turning point,
Marcus
I think.
showed up that he was gonna turn into like a bloodthirsty zombie. I knew that that was like part of the premise was that these people were basically zombies.
Oh no.
And I knew that it would extend past the kids because already saw an adult doing it. So like it spoiled so much in like a 3-second clip.
That's terrible. I had no idea that was coming. Like I said, I collapsed. I was like, holy crap, I can't believe this is happening. Also, I didn't see it coming. It was so scary. Um, I went to see this with a friend, and the two of us were just like sunken into the seats. Like, get me as far away from what's happening on the screen right now because this is so creepy. But yeah, that was a crazy scene. But also, it's a turning point in the movie because she kind of gains an ally in a weird way, and it's the most unlikely ally, which I thought was such an interesting turn in the story.
Yeah.
So and yeah, so I guess that's the end of Archer's section.
Yeah, and of course we're left totally hanging with basically our two protagonists. One of them's like looking like he's about to die, and the other's like cowering in a convenience store. And then we turn back to Paul, and
Mm.
Paul's on the beat. He sees a druggie trying to break into a building, so he chases him down. Eventually catches him and pats him down, and he's like, "Anything in your pockets that would poke me?" Of course, he says no. He pats him down and gets jabbed by a needle. So he punches him out
Yeah,
right in front of the dash cam. Couldn't get a better
right.
view.
And that's such an interesting scene because it's a combination of, okay, I get why this would piss you off, but then it just goes it starts at I understand and quickly goes into you're a piece of shit cop. It's like such an
Yeah,
interesting
I have
shift.
to give him a lot of credit because it's not easy to make me like sympathize with a piece of shit cop, but like getting jabbed with a needle that could have AIDS and hepatitis, like I get the rage, man. Like, yeah.
Yeah. But then he turns off his dash cam.
Oh, of course.
He goes to his like he does the things to cover his ass, right? Um so I totally get that's what I mean. I
Yeah.
say we get it. Like we understand why you were pissed off. But then the next steps you take, and in fact, the very next steps you take have to do with covering your ass. It's not like I'm gonna throw you in my car and I'm gonna explain what happened. And I don't care if they caught it on the dash cam, people will understand because holy crap, you could have given me a communicable disease. Um, but yeah, and this is where at least for me, this is where my opinion of Paul took a deep dive.
Oh, of
Is
course.
this is the part where it starts and then it just keeps on going.
So he goes and talks to the captain, who we find out is his father in law.
Yeah.
And the captain is played by Toby Huss. Do you know who Toby Huss is?
Yes, he is one of the voice actors from King of the Hill.
Yep, he plays Khan in Cotton.
Oh,
He
okay.
was also Artie, the strongest man in the world, and the adventures of Pete and Pete.
Oh my god. That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm always happy to see Toby Huss. Even when he's corrupt cop covering up for his son-in-law. And he says, basically, if a month goes by and this guy doesn't try to press charges, the tape will be overwritten. You'll be in the clear. But if it doesn't, you'll be in deep shit. And I'm like, what deep shit? 3 weeks paid vacation?
I
I know how this
mean,
works.
sure, but I don't know if that I didn't get corrupt cop from him. I'm behind you. I understand. I'll support you the best I can. But if that guy comes forward, I can't do much. Which who knows if that's true or not. Um
I
the
mean,
the vibe I got
covering
from
up
him was
for
like,
someone out of nepotism who should be getting disciplinary action, I'd say that's corruption.
I guess, but I
I mean,
don't
he's not like the cartoonish corrupt cop we often see in movies, but he's certainly not super clean.
well, I don't think he meant that he would tape over it. I thought he meant that the tapes just
No, 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 no. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's not gonna do any disciplinary action here. he's just gonna hope that it blows over, which is like when it's your son-in-law. And I mean, that's corruption.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Um, but yeah, anyway, so okay, so but Paul's story is told in a little retrospect as well, because we see going forward what he does when he's on the after um this happens, and you don't realize that this happened before Justine's section.
Yes. So this whole story is out of order a bit.
Right.
We overlap and we don't know where we are until basically the end. We find out where we're overlapping. So there's a lot of movies like this. Even though Pulp Fiction's one of my favorite movies and does this, my first thought was actually Crash. Have you seen Crash?
Yes, I have seen Crash, and it does have a very similar feel.
Yeah, they show you the connection to the characters in reverse almost, which
Right.
just the structure reminded me of this.
Well, I think the way I interpreted it was each character's story had to start at a point, and each character's story had to start at a different point. And so
Yeah.
that's why you saw parts that overlapped and some parts that didn't, because Paul's story had to start a little bit before Justine's in terms of what led him to meeting her at the bar. I mean, you could just sort of
Yeah.
see the tension, see his frustration building and building until finally he gets a text from her that's like, "Hey." And also he gets the call from his wife who's like, "We're gonna try to have a baby," and he doesn't seem like he's very into that. And then he's like, "I just want something." His vibe was like, "I just want something a little bit carefree and less committed." And that's the direction he went in.
Yeah. We see exactly when it lines up because he waves to Justine towards the end of his chapter, and we'd already seen that wave from Justine's perspective in her
Right.
chapter. So we know exactly where we are.
So he goes home after he sees Justine, and Donna's there early. She puts two and two together. That's when she goes to the liquor store and is like, "Oh my God, you asshole, you big hoe." And she dumps all the liquor on her. But then when he goes into work, he kind of eyes his father in law and is like, "Oh shit, your daughter actually already told you what's gone on between us. And now I'm
Oh, yeah.
fucked."
He gets the stink eye.
Then he walks out and is like, "Fuck, everything sucks right now." Then he sees that kid and then he's already pissed. That's when his chapter ends.
And Paul, of course, told Justine that him and his wife were kind of not really together,
Yeah.
which we find out from the wife's perspective, that's an outright lie.
An
That would be total
outright
news to
lie.
her. She's loving this marriage. She's
They're
ready for kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we go down further into the Paul is a piece of shit rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Man, that couldn't have been more of a lie. He just like totally set up Justine for that assault.
And he says it too in such a convincing way. Like, he's clearly a sweet
Yeah.
talker. He's very
I
I mean,
mean,
he
yeah,
sweet
as
talks
the
the
audience,
audience.
we totally bought it.
We bought his story.
So after Paul yells at that kid who came back, we cut to his chapter, which is titled James.
Which was so unexpected. Were you at that
Yeah,
point and it was like, "Why do we care about this guy? I guess I'll
yeah. I mean,
follow along." I mean, it makes sense. It's great, but immediately when it's going from character to character, you think it's gonna go to, I don't know.
like Alex,
Does Marcus have his own chapter?
not yet.
Not yet.
But yeah, you think it's
It
gonna
comes
go to
later.
maybe Marcus or maybe Alex?
Yeah,
But it's
I
like,
was
yeah,
waiting for the kid.
apparently James is a character, and he's named James.
Yeah.
And his chapter revolves around him trying to get money for more dope. He is strung out as all hell. He's smoking the last little like dust particles in his crack pipe, burning himself. He's living in a tent. He calls up, is it his brother he's talking
It
to?
sounds like it's his brother, yeah. Like a brother, a sibling.
And he's like, look, I just need some money for clothes. I got the job, but I need the clothes are pretty expensive. And if you just give me the money for the clothes,
Yeah.
I can get the
No,
job
it's
and I can get the money and I can pay mom back.
that section was a little bit necessary because we kind of needed a little bit of comic relief after all the tension of the first several parts.
Yeah.
And we get here and I'm like, okay, all right, this is kind of, whew, I could breathe for a second.
I feel like this is one of the most well done parts of the movie because they totally sell that this is like a real homeless drug addict, and yet it's still
Yeah.
funny. Like he's so convincing. He's not a cartoon like what's that Chappelle Show character?
Oh,
The crackhead from
yeah,
Chappelle
yeah.
Show. Like he's not that kind of comic relief drug addict. He's like a believable, like teenage homeless drug addict that should be tragic in this like fucked up movie. And it is, but it's
Right.
also funny. And he's weirdly likable despite being a total piece of shit.
He is weirdly likable too because he's just like, he's not, because you can tell he's not like trying to hurt anyone. He's just trying to get his fix,
Yep.
which is in and of itself a tragedy. But there's so many stories you see about people that have this timeline where they're also like harming other people or I don't know. I mean, he's the part where he's walking around on the phone and he's checking the car doors was just classic. I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh my
tries to open
god."
every car door.
He walks
Yeah,
by
that's
casual
so
on the
real.
phone, opening every car door, which is just ugh, took me right back to Oakland.
Yeah, so he does find a car door that's open and he steals a backpack with the little girl's like iPad and her headphones and he tries to pawn that and the pawn shop guy's like, "No, I don't want it." He's like, $50, $20, $10, anything. He's like, "No, I don't want it." So he goes back to the drawing board and he ends up breaking into Alex's house.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I don't remember how if it's an accident or whatever, but yeah, he is somehow
I
led.
think he just saw that it was like abandoned because it looked that way with all the newspaper and everything. So he was like, it looks like it was abandoned in like a rush. It's probably still full of some good shit. So low risk, high
Right.
reward type situation as far as he's concerned.
Yeah. So he breaks in.
Yep.
He finds the same two people
Yep.
sitting on the couch, staring into space, but not before he's gone upstairs, stolen a couple of things.
He's going through the DVDs. What DVD does he find? He's like impressed with the DVD. It was Willow. He's like, "Oh man, Willow."
Oh, right.
And that's when he turns around because this whole time he was sorting through their DVDs, Alex's mom and dad
They're
have been
sitting on the
sitting on the
couch.
couch, not moving an inch. And he seems to know they're alive. You would think in the situation, like you see that they're not moving at all, even after like you just jump back startled and made a loud noise. They didn't react at all. You'd think he'd assume they were dead. But he seems to know that they're alive. And he's waving his hand in front of their face, and he's like so confused. And then he just shrugs it off. He's like, "Oh well," and he goes back to stealing their DVDs. And then he goes to the basement
Yeah.
and he sees the entire third grade class standing there in much the same way.
Just standing there.
And that scares the ever
Yeah.
living shit out of him. And he goes running. He goes to the pawn shop and pawns that silverware for like $100.
And he saw a sign for a reward for finding the kids. And in the scene where he's walking towards the police station and Paul sees him and starts chasing him, he is going there to collect the reward because he thinks he's found the kids. Paul chases him and he's
Running through the woods, sees a weird looking old lady, keeps running, goes back to his tent to hide, and then someone starts unzipping his tent from the outside. So as soon as they get it halfway, he stabs them in the face with 3 needles, and it's Paul. Paul
with a
getting
bunch of
stabbed with needles
needles.
yet again.
Yeah.
I should mention I hate needles, so any of these needle scenes just like get under my skin so bad.
Really
Just like
awful.
Saw 2, one of my least favorite scenes in all of horror.
Yeah.
It's that disease factor,
It's
man. You
true.
have no idea what sticking into you, and it's just so gross to me on such a deep level. So yeah, I hated seeing Paul get stabbed the first time, and I felt his rage. And seeing him get stabbed in the face with 3 needles, ugh, awful.
But at this point, you know what a dick he is.
Yeah.
So it's not as bad. At this point, I was like, you kind of deserve that, Paul. Let's just be real. You can't even be mad at him.
Paul deserves it, but I'm still putting myself in his shoes and imagining 3 dirty needles in my face and cringing.
Yes, very much.
So Paul arrests him, and he's like, no, I could tell you where those kids are. And for some reason, Paul believes
And he's
him.
like, bullshit, take me
Yeah.
there.
And so they go to Alex's house, and Paul goes in to investigate.
He's in there for hours.
Yeah, sun goes down. James is still in there, like, what the fuck? And then Paul bursts out of there, rips the door
drags it
open, and
inside.
drags James into the house, kicking
And
and
that's the last we
screaming.
see of him for a bit.
Yep. And then we start the chapter for Marcus.
Now, this was crazy because this entire time, there is no mention of anyone at Alex's house. And so you see at the beginning that the police question Alex after the kids disappear. And so you assume whatever's going on with his parents, they had to have at least been present for the police to question them. So that was the mystery for me going
Yeah.
into this chapter. Like, those two people sitting on the couch were well enough to have been questioned by the police not long ago. So what the hell happened? And Marcus's chapter starts to chip away at this mystery, which was, man, it was hard for me. So Marcus's story is interesting because the impression you get is that he wants to be on Justine's side, because we pick up at the point where she's calling him to say, guess what I found? And he's like on the phone in the grocery store. Don't reach out to him. Don't make contact with him. Don't knock on his door. I cannot believe you did this. He's exasperated because he's got this troublesome employee.
What's interesting to me here is she calls for a wellness check and says, you have to do it because you're a mandated reporter. I don't think he's mandated to report what someone else told him. Like, you're the teacher.
She's the mandated
you have
reporter.
to report
She's
to the
supposed to
police
report it.
what you
Right.
saw. Yeah. You don't get to pass the buck to your boss.
And I think she
But
is.
Marcus goes along
But
with
she
it.
is also probably trying to tread lightly with reaching out to other people, right? Because she knows I can't be the one to make this report because they're not going to believe me and they already think something. But also, she wasn't supposed to even go to the house or make contact with him. So she's basically trying to cover her butt, saying, look, I can't do it because I wasn't supposed to be there, but you can do it now that I've told you. The whole thing was just, I actually really hated that part because I was like, stop trying to talk to this kid. Stop telling your boss what you did when you weren't supposed to do it. It was she was out of control at that point. But yeah, so.
And what I don't get is this woman has 2 acquaintances in her life that she talks to. And the other one is a cop. So why do you keep going to the principal and not the cop?
Well, she does talk to him at one point and is like, what are you guys doing about it? And he's like, FYI, I'm not a detective. So maybe that's it. Maybe he doesn't have the clout and she doesn't feel like it's going to get anywhere if she tells him.
That feels weak to me. Because,
I mean, it does.
If your closest acquaintance is a cop and you're in this situation, you at least, you test the air and see if he'll bite at least. You don't just go straight to the principal who has really no authority. And, I mean, he calls in a wellness check. Does he have the authority to do that, or does he get the cops to do that?
Well, I think he wanted to talk to the parents.
Or is he bluffing to her? Because he seems to be.
I think his next steps are to check up and talk to the parents. And then I think that was his investigation. After she voiced her concerns, then he talks to the parents. And if he felt that it was necessary to do a wellness check after he did the one-on-one interview, then he would have taken it a step further. So I think that for the most part, I think he was doing the right thing. Because his first action after talking to her is calling the parents in. And then, of course, the parents don't show up. It's this creepy ass old lady who is very similar looking, but not exactly identical to the creepy clown creature we've been seeing everywhere.
Wait, is she not identical?
Yes, except when she's in his office, she's like put together and polite. And when we see her in the woods, and we see her
Oh,
when
yeah.
Justine sees her on the ceiling, and Josh Brolin, he sees her in his dreams, she's creepy. She's got like a real distorted face, and like she's just a horrifying presence.
It's like seeing her in a
Yes,
nightmare
exactly.
instead of
But
seeing
then
her
you
in
see her in
person.
person, and she's kind of off,
Yeah.
but nothing too horrible, even though she's immediately sus to me because I've seen this lady before in not a good context.
I mean, obviously we all but know that she's evil at this point. Like, there's been too much creepy shit surrounding her face for her not to be implicated in the evilness that's
Right.
going on. So, like, he thinks this is some harmless, eccentric aunt, and I need to just get rid of her so I can talk to the
Yeah.
parents. But we are like, get out of there. Don't trust this lady. Don't go along with anything she
Yeah.
says.
And she's like, "Oh, they're sick. I'm taking care of the house, and Alex is fine, etc., etc." She brushes him off, and he's like, "Well, this isn't good enough. I need to talk to parents." Which at that point I was like, "Yay, Marcus." Like, I thought he was gonna be like, "Okay, great, done." He wasn't. He was like, sorry, this isn't good enough for me," which I was like very happy that that happened. That is like, that's really good representation, because so many times when you have school authorities in movies, they're dismissive, they don't follow up, they're irresponsible, like there's just all kinds of bad stereotypes. But he was not. He was good. And he presses it.
Yeah. And even the captain, like, when Archer was, like, pressing the captain, it seemed like Archer, with his bias, saw the captain as that kind of, like, dismissing authority figure, but the actual captain was like, "Well, look, what do you want me to do? I've told you everything, like, I'm at liberty to. I've looked into her. I don't know what to tell you." And it's like, he seems very reasonable in that moment.
Yeah,
And most of
I
the
caught
time
that too.
it's the protagonist who's being reasonable and the police captain who's being dismissive to, like, an absurd level. So it really turns on that trope on its head.
Yeah. No, I definitely noticed.
I'm rooting for Archer because, like, I sympathize with him, but he's clearly, like, hot-headed and completely unreasonable for, like, 90% of this movie.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, same thing with Justine and Marcus. Like, I'm rooting for Justine because she's the protagonist. I sympathize with her, but she's a handful for Marcus. And you can see that he's struggling because he's not only trying to protect her, trying to, not have her be vilified by the whole town, but then he also has to answer to the parents. And I'm sure he's aware of the fact that they could turn on him on a dime. And he's probably treading on thin ice to begin with. So really, that was um an interesting take on those kinds of dynamics, because yeah, you do usually see the authorities being dismissive and irresponsible, and this was a little more nuanced, I think, so that was good. Okay, so then Marcus promises her he's going to check up on it. He asks the parents to come in. The parents don't come in. The creepy aunt comes in, and he's like, "Yeah, at some point I'm going to need to talk to them." And she's like, "Okay, I'll let them know."
Yeah, so she basically agrees that he can come by the house later and talk to them. So he goes
Right.
home, and, then he's, with his husband, like, watching a movie, and then she just shows up out of breath saying she had to run there because she missed the bus or something.
It was the weirdest excuse. I was like, "What do you mean? Does he live around the corner from the school?" Also, he had he had gone to the grocery store and changed and started a movie and done a whole bunch of things in between seeing her and coming home. I did not understand that at all. She makes up some flimsy excuse.
How would she even know where he lived?
Again, yeah,
He
that
doesn't
too.
even
I was like, "I don't
question
get
that,
this."
right?
He doesn't, well, he is kind of like, "What's happening?" And his husband is just like, oh no, come on in, you poor thing. Get her some water. Let's help you.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
she asked for water.
obviously the spirit of like, I'm here to help you. And Marcus doesn't even have a chance to be like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And yeah. And it escalates from there. I mean, it goes from something creepy is about to happen, something's going on with this lady, to, it's her. She's the one.
Yeah, so she asked for water, and they're gonna get her a glass of water. She's like, "No, no, I want a bowl. It's a weird eccentricity I have. I don't even question it anymore." And they go along with it, and they get her a bowl of water. And then she jumps at Marcus's husband, cuts a part off of his hair, and she wraps it around a thorny piece of wood, cuts her finger with it, and breaks it and throws it in the bowl. And that makes Marcus attack his husband and murder him and like puke black blood on him or some kind of black
Yeah.
fluid.
Don't know what that was about, but
Shit hit the fan real
yeah.
quick.
So Marcus turns into that version of himself that we saw running at Justine earlier in the film, and you realize this is how it happened. But the scene where he's beating his husband to a bloody pulp, I was a little beside myself just because I get it, one spouse turning into another or turning on another, but I was like, this is a very literal gay bashing, and I needed to go on a little less lengthy than this. Like, this is a little bit too long. He beat him to a bloody pulp and then kept beating him. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, so 2025, we're still not beyond the bury your gays trope.
Yes.
The gays do not do well in this
No, I
movie.
was
His husband seemed like the sweetest guy ever. So,
the nicest
yeah,
guy.
not like his only trait is that he's like the sweetest guy in the world, and then he just gets brutally murdered. And then Marcus is a mindless zombie
Yeah.
charging straight ahead towards Justine at all costs.
Oh, right. And then so we actually skipped over that because one of the parts where Justine is um stalking Alex, she goes to the house and she sits there and falls asleep in the car, at which point a creepy woman who
Oh,
now
yeah.
I know was the mother, but at the time I didn't realize it, comes walking out of the house and she's walking like I can't even explain it. I mean, she's her body's just very rigid and she's walking like she's even like a doll
Yeah.
almost, not a person with fluid movements. And she's got a pair of scissors in her hands. And Justine is fast asleep in the car, presumably drunk because she was drinking while she was sitting there. And when she opens the back door and gets in the car, the entire theater was like, oh my God. Everyone, I mean, was just like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Everyone was laughing when she walked past the car, and then you heard the back door open, and then everyone
Yeah.
gasped.
Yes, everyone gasped at that point in the theater. I was like, ooh, that's oh, a lot. So we know from that point. Oh, but then when she's in the car, all she does is cut her hair. And so we know from that point that this lady has a piece of Justine's hair and then we see what she does with it.
Yeah.
Like it takes a minute to connect. Oh, that's why she had that lady cut her hair, which is kind of weird to me because you would think that if she just wanted Justine out of the way, that probably would have been a perfect time to have that lady go out and just stab her,
Yeah.
right? She has the ability to control her to cut someone's hair, but couldn't she just stab her? Like, you don't have to be in a murderous rage because she's been hexed. Just go out there and stab her. She's a sitting duck in her car drunk.
Yeah. So this is an issue I have with this movie is that the relationship to Justine really doesn't make any sense. Is there some reason she's keeping her around? Is there some reason like you could have also taken any of her belongings from that car and turned her into a weapon?
Very, very true.
So what is the purpose of all this? Why?
So,
What makes her
uh,
special?
I think that she kept Justine around as the scapegoat. I think without Justine, they would have kept looking at the kid and they would have investigated the kid more. And so because Justine is there, she's the buffer between the authorities and the kid. And even she has the one house visit where she cleans everything up and whatever, which I think is in Alex's section. But it seems when she goes to Marcus's house and she says, "You haven't called the authorities yet, have you?" She's concerned about that, right? She doesn't want to be found out. And so my impression is that Justine is the scapegoat. And so she needs her around at least for a little bit. But then she precipitates getting other people involved and Marcus potentially calling the police, etc. So, and then the police do show up, right? Which I assume she associates with Justine. And then at the end of the day, he is associated with her. But yeah, my argument would be that Justine's kept around because she's a scapegoat. She's the one that they're blaming for everything. They even write witch on her car.
Then why send a weapon after her instead of zombifying her? Because if your weapon succeeds, no more scapegoat. But if you turn her into a zombie, then you can just have a comatose Justine who looks even more suspicious, acting weird, doing whatever you want. That seems like a much better situation if she's your scapegoat.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's think, because what did she need to take control of
Any
people?
possession.
Because did she have anything of Marcus's? Oh, she took something from his office.
His ribbon, yeah.
So that's how she got control of Marcus. Right.
So obviously Justine's
And
car was
so
full of her belongings.
she could have,
Just as easily take one of those as
right.
cut her hair.
I mean, and maybe she was just too persistent in trying to investigate. Maybe she was getting too nosy. I'm not sure. Yeah, it could have gone either way, I suppose, and that may have been less likely. I mean, what she probably should have done is use Christine to take out Archer, but
Yeah.
she may not have been aware of him until the very end. In fact, she may not have been aware of him at all until he came to the house.
Yeah, that's true.
But
They don't really encounter
yeah.
each other at all.
And at the same time, now that I'm thinking about it, this wasn't a great plan, because you can't come to a town where these kids are from like middle class, maybe upper middle class families, take all of them and assume the parents are just not going to stop looking. Like, you're bound to attract attention. You're bound to attract trouble. Like, I don't know. This was just not a good plan.
Yes.
But anyhow, so we see Marcus.
Lunging at Justine, and Archer fights him.
Right.
And we see that Archer,
And he just keeps going.
Archer manages not to die. Justine gets in a car and drives off. Marcus is chasing her on foot, and then Archer pursues in his truck, and he's following behind Marcus. We see a car go through an intersection and run over Marcus.
Smashes him.
We see the driver just crying hysterically, and then we see the reveal of Marcus's head just
his brains splattered across the road. Oh God.
absolutely
Yeah.
brutal. Yeah.
Gross.
And
Yeah.
that's Marcus's chapter.
Yeah. At this point, we know this old lady's part of it. And Alex's chapter comes next, and it's the big reveal. It's the big reveal, and it wraps up the whole rest of the movie. And God, I felt so bad for that kid. It was like
Yeah.
one heartbreaking thing after another. Not only this old lady moves in, takes over, starts to suck the life out of his parents, which I assume that's what she was doing, right? She's got them under her control, but she's also using their life force to like kind of sustain herself. She says at one point that she's been alive for a really long time, or she's been sick for a really long time.
Yes.
I assume she's just like a super old witch that's sucking the life force out of those around her.
Yeah. So we see her for the first time chronologically here, right after she moved into town, and she's like, she is bedridden, like completely looks like she's on death's door. And then we see shortly after that, she's just fine, but Alex's parents are totally comatose.
Yeah.
Just they can barely talk. They say a few words and
right. And it starts gradual, and it gets worse and worse for them. And as it gets worse and worse for them, she seems to recover.
Yep. And so she also says that Alex, you have to go and get a possession from each of your classmates at school. And he's like, why the hell would I do that? And then she reveals why he would do that, which is because if he doesn't, his parents will stab themselves to death with forks, as they start to do when she does her little witch trick with her thorny, hairy sticks. And they're just stabbing their face with forks. And so, yeah, Alex is going to do whatever she says from this point forward.
Yeah. I mean, she coerces him and essentially is like, look, I'm in control. I'm in charge. I have the authority I have the power to make your parents do things to hurt themselves, to hurt each other, to hurt you. I can do this. I'm in control. And you're going to do what I say. And you're going to help me because I'm going to make you. And so through this horrible coercion, now Alex is living under this burden and is doing everything this lady is directing him to do. And you see the events of the movie unfold from that perspective, and everything falls into place.
See that Alex has been bullied this whole time by those same classmates. And the ringleader of the bullies is Matthew, who is Archer's
son.
beloved
Yeah.
son, who he's been crying over this whole movie. We find out that his beloved Matthew is a little fucking asshole.
And did you think, like I thought, that this lady was going to be like his sweet old grandmother who was just looking after her grandson? Because I 100% thought that she did this to punish those kids. At first, I was like, ooh, I bet you.
So I really thought this was going to be like a school shooting allegory with him being the bullied child. And like we saw that AR-15 in the dream sequence. So I thought like this is his equivalent to shooting up the school, is that he's a willing accomplice with his aunt and they're zombifying the kids as an act of revenge, which I think is what we're intended to kind of be led down, and is not the case at all.
Maybe. Yeah, it's not the case at all. And I think that the rifle on top of the house was just, I think it was just symbolic of the people being weaponized. I don't think it was necessarily supposed to be
Yes.
the school, like literally being shot.
But I think it also is supposed to implant that into your head, that it's about a classroom and you see the much villainized AR-15 rifle that's in so
Yeah.
many of these shootings. Like,
And I immediately had a fleeting thought, and I was like, God, I don't know if I could take another We Need to Talk About Kevin. That movie didn't go in the direction I thought it was gonna go either.
never seen it.
It's interesting. It's all right. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that this lady was gonna be his sweet old grandmother. Well, not his sweet old grandmother, but I thought she was gonna be an ally for him. And I thought she was gonna be like, if these kids are bothering you, I can help you. And then he teams up with her to like get rid of all these kids. That's what I thought was gonna
But
happen.
yeah, that's pretty much the crux of Alex's chapter, is that we learn about the bullying and we learn about how awful his supposed aunt is. We hear conflicting things about this aunt situation. At one point we hear that it's his mother's aunt, and at other times we hear it's his aunt. And then we hear different timelines. Like we hear the dad hasn't seen her in 15 years. And she says, I haven't seen you since you were a little baby, but he's clearly much younger than 15.
Yeah.
So it's like, is she related at all? Probably not.
Has she put some kind of a hex on them so they all have been convinced that she's a part of their lives and they owe her something so that they let her in? Yeah, I could totally see that. But yeah, at the point that we learn how everything is happening, you see Alex is in a bind, and Archer and Justine have used their powers of deduction from examining the different ring cameras to figure out that Alex's house is the focal point.
Yep.
So it all kind of comes to a head, and Archer and Justine why did they go into the house? Oh, Paul comes out.
Yeah.
And Paul's like, come on in. The water's fine. In that same rigid movement, like a marionette almost, where she's got them moving like puppets.
Exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, they go in and, yeah, shit starts hitting the fan. And we see, lines of salt. And she tells, Alex, you can't cross that salt. Don't do it. And, they don't know that, so they immediately cross the salt and they get attacked by a zombified Paul and a zombified James.
And then Alex is upstairs kind of listening to
Yeah,
it.
and then Alex steps over the salt on purpose, and his parents charge at him, and he locks himself in his bedroom while they break down the door essentially like Jack in The Shining. Mom sticking her face through it. We go back downstairs where they're fighting, and Justine goes full badass, shoots Paul like 3 times. He doesn't stop going till she gets him in the head, and then Archer's going down to the basement. He gets attacked by James and he's getting overtaken. And then Justine shows up and shoots him in the back of the head.
Yeah. Shit hits the fan. But Alex realizes the source of the witch's power is this random tree that she has with her. And you can't even, there's nothing known about this tree. It's just a little like plant. Maybe it's a plant. I couldn't quite tell. It looked like it was an art sculpture or something. But she pulls these barbed branches off of it. And that's the source of her control over everyone in the town or everyone that she's trying to control. And Alex figures it out. He takes the hair out of her wig and does the thing. And I mean, I don't know. I can't say he broke the spell, but
Well, he used the spell.
he uses the spell, but he doesn't. I mean, yeah, I guess he uses it, and he turns the kids. I was on the fence about this scene because it was like half the audience was just like cracking up watching the kids like chase her, and then I was still like, oh my god, what's about to happen? Are they gonna like rip her limb from limb? And then, of course, that's what they do, but leading up to it, yes, but leading up to it, everyone's laughing around me. And I'm just like, do you realize that these kids are going to catch her and they're going to tear her apart, literally, and we're going to watch it? It's going to be blood everywhere. And that's exactly what they do. I mean, I think maybe they even ate part of her. It was
Oh, they
gruesome.
did.
Yeah. And
And
eh,
they rip her skull out of her head, like
yeah,
through her
and
mouth.
that breaks the spell on Archer, and it maybe breaks the spell on everyone else, but we're left with the understanding that they're all sort of catatonic afterwards.
They've all had too
Not
much drained out of them. Archer only had like, you know, 15 minutes of life drained out of him.
Oh, I get it.
We forgot to mention that Archer went downstairs looking for his son and got jump scared by Gladys, who zombified him.
Right,
So Alex cast that spell right in the nick of time to stop Justine from
right.
getting
And of
killed.
course, he was unaware. He was just trying to get his parents to stop coming after him.
Yeah.
And I mean, quick thinking, because his thoughts were not trying to get them to stop coming after him. Really, his thoughts were getting rid of her, because that's what he aimed his spell at. Yeah, and the tables turned, and I think the comedy aspect of it is how surprised she was, and how like scared and oh my god, no, when she realized the tables had turned on her, which is comical, because you're like, bitch, you're evil. Did you not think that once people got the chance that you were gonna get got? Like,
Yeah.
why are you so surprised? And yeah, you better run. Like, I don't know. Sometimes when there's stuff like that, there's always a moment where the evil person has the upper hand for a second, and she didn't at all. Like, honestly, she was quite vulnerable. If this is really all it took,
Yeah.
just a kid who was just paying attention, figure out exactly what you did. I'm just gonna do the same thing, and then that's it. It was interesting because I thought it's not funny that everyone's laughing. I get it, but her reaction was funny. Her reaction was like, "Oh no," and she ran away.
Yeah.
But you're like, wait.
Yeah. Her running was very comical.
Yeah, and I don't know if that was intentional or if it was to kind of
It was.
take away from. I know, I was like, is this like a little bit of Whitest Kids You Know seeping in, or is it just to take away from the tension
the comedy in this movie is very darkly intertwined with the most disturbing aspects. It's no coincidence that this comes from one of the
Yeah.
minds of Whitest Kid You Know. Something that just confused me, when they're running after Gladys, they don't do the thing with their arms outstretched.
No, they don't.
This whole movie that's been like a thing, and they don't do that, which is like, why? Is that intentional? Is this a choice?
I can't give a concrete explanation, but I think from a thematic standpoint, Alex is taking an active defense, right? So he's not really weaponizing them in the sense that he's simply using them to get what he wants in terms of like power and control. He's using the kids to get rid of something that is plaguing the town. And I don't know, it just felt that creepy positioning felt very like they're under a hex, right? I don't know. There's just something about it felt a little less sinister when it came around to him doing it to kind of, he's the little hero at the end and you're like, "Yes, you did it. You got the kids to like take back their."
Yeah, but they were running like 28 days later zombies, like, which I think
Yeah.
looked more sinister because the whole thing with the arm thing, like when you see it in the opening shots, is it looks like kids playing,
Yeah.
which is more innocent. But I'm wondering, is the arm thing something Gladys did intentionally? Like something she was having them do. And so when Alex does it, they don't do it because he's not intending for them to.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't actually think about that posture. Um except that I did think it felt like whimsical when the kids were doing it in the I don't know, there was a whimsical aspect to it.
Yeah. And I was like almost wondering, even though I had like a significant piece of the puzzle spoiled for me, I was still almost wondering, like, is this like something the classmates planned, like a sinister game because of how whimsical it looks when they're just like running out with their arms outstretched like
Yeah.
airplanes.
Yeah.
But I guess
Okay.
that's up for
So,
interpretation.
yeah. Um so I mean, let's move on to the bigger themes of this because well, I guess the bigger aspects of this because I was super impressed like I said at the beginning with the chapters and how it was divided and how even we had a whole chapter about this character James who seemed completely minor but his story was really necessary to kind of link everything. Um I was really impressed with this. I mean, I felt like very satisfied by how it unfolded. It gave me all the right reactions, all the right responses. I don't think I ever had a moment where, except for, Justine was a little bit frustrating at times where you're like, why are you doing this? But I thought it was a well written, well told story.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go into the mythology a little bit here because I know in the past I've talked about The Witch. Um, it is easily my favorite movie about witches and witchcraft. And so this is clearly along the lines of a witch. It's about witches, right? So I don't know. Do you have any other like witch movies that kind of come to mind when you think about this kind of thing? Because
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other movies I've seen that really go deep into the witch lore. The movies that first come to mind when I think of witches are actually The Craft and Halloween Town, so those aren't, real deep into the spooky lore.
yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I was like, besides The Witch, I feel like every other movie that is discusses witches, it's either like the Pumpkinhead kind, where it's like a mysterious witch lives in the woods, and either that character's misunderstood, and so it takes time for them to like clarify their story, and then everyone's on their side after that, or evil character that needs to be destroyed, and then the other end of that is like hocus pocus, like goofy witches, right?
It's a lot of old hags and, like, young women coming of age. in the movie witch department.
Yeah. And very few witches have like real power that's scary. I think that's why The Witch stood out to me so much. And I think that's why this movie really impressed me because I think in my mind, witches aren't really that scary. And so to have movies that really show you that they can be scary is something that kind of tickles me. I like that a lot. So yeah, I thought that was a really, at the end of the day, yes, I get it. I guess it is a bit of not a letdown because I wouldn't say it was a letdown, but there is something to be said for the whole thing being chalked up to, oh wait, all of this tension and it was just a witch. But I still think it was effective.
Yeah, for me, it was just the mystery angle had my mind going in so many different directions that anything that's like this simple, like explanation to wrap it all up probably wouldn't have satisfied me. Like,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know that that's a little bit of shortcoming, at least from your perspective, but to me, I thought it was very effective. I went to see a movie in theaters. I was on the edge of my seat. My heart was pounding. I didn't really nitpick about the little aspects of the plot that we've been talking about. And so in that moment, I came away thinking, "Oh my god, that was amazing." Now we talk about it a bit, I'm like, "Okay, I see some of the shortcomings." Um, I don't think it detracted from the movie-going experience at all in my book because I think a lot of that is about getting caught up in your feelings when you're experiencing it. So I say to that end, I think it was excellent. And I'm gonna say 4 stars. I'm actually thinking 4.5.
yeah. So the thing is with movies like this and Barbarian and Men is that they're so they could be anything when you're going into it. And that's why I'm just thinking about it from every angle trying to uncover what this movie is about. So it almost makes me nitpick it more because of the kind of movies that these are where it's I gotta think about where's this going, and so I do, and then my mind goes all these places, and then it wraps up in kind of a simple way. It's like, oh man, there's all these loose threads that I thought were gonna connect in some brilliant way, but they didn't. But I'm I gave Men a 4. I liked Men a little bit more than this, but I'm still gonna give this a 4.
Okay. 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 I think that's great. So, yeah, I'm very excited that we did this. I hope that we end up doing more movie-going experiences and then rating it afterwards because I really enjoyed it. And I also, in the back of my mind, was thinking, we're gonna talk about this later, so it's gonna be so great. Um, but yeah, so I got a whole long list of things that we can see in theaters coming up soon. So look forward to that. Um, okay, so what are we doing next week?
All right, so next week we're doing Us from 2019, written and directed by Jordan Peele.
Okay, awesome. Oh yeah, and this is leaving Netflix soon. So this is part of the reason we're bumping it up on our list, and I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you need to see it. I'm surprised you haven't yet.
Well, I think I've seen every other Jordan Peele movie. And then there is a Jordan Peele movie coming out in the next couple of months. It's called Him. So yeah, maybe that'll be another movie going experience. But anyway, okay, this is great. I'm super happy we did this. Till next time.
Until next time.
Horror Coast to Coast is a movie review podcast featuring strong language, horror film spoilers, and discussions of violence, gore, and disturbing subject matter. Listener discretion is advised. This podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share Alike 4.0 International License. For additional information and other media content, visit theferalthread.com. Thanks for listening. Until next week.